Recently, I've had a number of experiences that have changed my life. I want to share them with everyone so that maybe someone somewhere can, that's going through something similar will find some peace with the message and the lesson that I learned when I began to remember my past lives. For the last 5 years, I've been very depressed, more depressed than normal. I had a deeply traumatic experience happen to me almost 5 years ago, and that changed my view of the world almost completely. I'm choosing not to say what it is, because it was very personal. I became nihilistic about life. I couldn't believe in anything anymore. I had a deeply devoted relationship with my personal gods, and with everything that happened, I questioned everything in my life, everything in life. I essentially wanted to destroy my soul, if there even was that. I didn't even believe in that anymore. And so I went on with life as best I could, not remembering fully what happened to me with what happened 5 years ago. I couldn't put all the pieces together. I pushed away everything in my life that gave me joy, and I fell into a really dark place. The world became cold and mechanical. Everything had shown me that this was real. To believe in anything more was irrational, and I only saw things for their usefulness. I was so determined to kill any part of what I had believed wasn't real, including my gods that I worship with devotion for many years. I was so lost and without hope. I couldn't see a future for myself, for anyone, for anything. And I decided not to believe in love or trust anything I saw or heard. My mind was closed and made up, and that was a safe place. I could speak about things only in like an academic sense, but not fully from experience like I had lived before. I just didn't believe it anymore. I dove into more of a modern view of the universe as purposeless and void of any meaning. So I continued working and taking care of things like you're supposed to as a mom, as a person. I felt numb to the world. And while just recently working as a housekeeper at a hotel, I would have these massive panic attacks out of seemingly nowhere. That was when I started to remember some bits and pieces of things that I had forgotten about the traumatic experience 5 years ago. I still don't recall most of it, but the feelings were still buried underneath those really negative beliefs that I thought would keep me safe. along with these episodes of my life trauma, I began to remember things that weren't my memories. I wanted to get over this pain, but I didn't trust anyone to help me. I was totally freaking out, and that's really an understatement, because it was bad. It was bad. I was so confused and really didn't know what to do. So I decided to do what I used to do before when I was like 16 or 17. And that was to do trance work, inner work, meditations. I had a lot of pain growing up, like we all do. And when I began on my path with witchcraft, when I was younger, I did this to work through a lot of that kind of, trauma that you go through. Just being alive, right? Growing up. So I went into a trance, which at this point was a lot harder than it used to be, I guess because I was really not believing in anything anymore. And it made me feel like I couldn't even get to that place that I could before. But I used a guided meditation I found on YouTube, and that helped a lot. I went into a trance, and I remember myself as a man. I went deep into a trance, and I was hoping to recall some of the memories that I've had of that recent trauma. But I remembered myself as a man, and I was like maybe 5 foot tall, 5'5" maybe, and I had tan skin and a beard with curly brown hair. I was wearing some kind of robe and was walking on a road, like a dirt road, with high, dry grass. I saw a boy walking beside me. He had some kind of turban on his head. It was red. His hair was almost like in a bowl cut, and he was really skinny. He was wearing like a loincloth or some type of like cloth that was like knotted a certain way around his waist. So I think I was pretty sure that the boy was at least maybe 10 years old. I was stockier, but thin, if that makes any sense. I asked myself, who am I in this trance state? And the only thing I got was 496. So that was the only thing that I gathered for any kind of information about where I was or what I was doing. All that happened so fast. It's not like a dream sequence where things are meshed together. It's very fast, and the memory is like, it's not foggy like a dream. It's very defined and vivid, and as though it's happening. So my son was walking to the right of me, and a tall, dry grass was to my left. This road was built on it was on a rocky hill, which was close to the sea, because I could feel the warm sea air on my face. It was very hot where I was. I think it was somewhere in the Mediterranean. Not really sure. I was in this body of the man walking on the road, and I was carrying some sack of some kind of loose grain on my back, like this, like holding it like this. And I remember being pushed over from behind by someone as I was walking. I remember someone coming in, pushing me, and as I fell down, my son ran, and it was this moment that I came out of my body, and I was watching what was happening from the side of my body. I was getting I don't know if you're allowed to say, I was getting murdered by 3 men, beaten, and I just remember watching it happen from outside of my body. This man's body that felt like me. And as I saw this happen, it was just like that I came out of it, like that. I came out of my trance, and I started crying, and it was a really strange experience. But for the next couple days, I wrote it down, and I wrote down the other experiences that I'm going to tell you about too. I feel like I felt better after this had happened. I felt more relieved, and for a month or 2, I felt better. I didn't feel as depressed, and I wasn't having these panic attacks like I was before. But they eventually did start again, mostly when I was at work, because when I'm at work, I have a lot of alone time, and I'm not busy. Like, I'm busy, but I'm not distracted, I guess, and all of the feelings just come back up. So that was my first regression. I got better at figuring out what some of the names are and the locations, because I kind of pushed myself to. And in the next regression I did, I decided that I would try this again. And this time I kind of went in hoping to find something. And at first I didn't find anything significant at all. It was just a peaceful state, and that felt a lot better. I figured it was something to do with past life. I had believed in past lives before everything happened, and it felt too real to not be something like a past life. But I still wasn't convinced, even myself. I have a very hard time convincing myself. I have to experience things, I guess, in order to believe it. And the next time I decided to go into a trance, I found that I was a woman in a village, and I was somewhere in Virginia. That's what I felt. It was somewhere in Virginia. But I believe that I was a Native American woman, and I remember seeing a river of some sort, and there was a canoe that had like a balancer on the side of it, and the village had these houses that were made out of wood, and there was hut houses that were made out of wood that were closer to the river, and inland we would walk, and there would be these big houses of wood, and I felt like it was like those were more like apartments, I guess. I lived with my husband. I was 16 years old, something like that. And we had a baby. And I remember my husband kissed me on my face. He had a red checkered what is it called? I'm sorry, I'm terrible with words. Like scarf thing that kind of like went over, and he had a mohawk that was almost to one side, and there was a piece of hair right here that came down, and it had beads on it. And I remember his face he had beautiful brown eyes, and I was smaller. He was very tall. I was probably 5'3", maybe. And he was like maybe 6 foot. We had our baby, and I remember my baby in a woven basket type thing, I guess I would carry on my back. And it was maybe 6 months old, maybe 7 months old, something like that. And I knew that my baby was sick, and it was really hot, and I felt that my baby passed away. As I just remember, it happens in flashes. Like, there's a baby in a basket, there's where I lived, and then there's like the man's face. It all happens like not in like always a sequence of events, but more like this is something, and then this is something. And I remember then coming back out of my trance again very fast because I felt such sadness that my baby died. And for some reason that was really significant in what I had to know. And I asked myself, where am I again? That was when I got Virginia, and it's 12:51. My next past life, I was a woman again, and I knew my name was Mary, and because I was getting better at it, I knew how to ask myself questions and get more definitive answers. I asked myself, where am I? And I responded as Mary to myself. And I said, New England. I said, okay, what's my last name? I kept getting Wolcott, I don't know, Wolcott, something like that. And as I was Mary, I remember just being an old woman, and I knew that the year that I was at that time, at that memory, was 1752. And I remember being an old woman, and I was in my bed, and I was sick, and I laid down on my bed, and I floated above myself. And I felt like in that lifetime, there was a lot of fear, and I felt like I did things because I was supposed to do them, not because I really wanted to. And I felt disconnected from myself and just doing things for other people, you know. When I came out of that, I felt really confused, I guess. When I was Mary, I had a lot of shame in my life, and I wasn't really close to many people. Like I didn't want to be close to people. At this point, my happiest life was when I was a Native woman in Virginia. So after this has happened, I'm working, I'm in my lifetime right now. I'm feeling better. I didn't have any panic attacks or anything that were, significant. I wasn't having flashbacks of the traumatic experience that I had 5 years ago. I was starting to feel a lot better. So whatever I was doing was working for me. And I'm still going through it. Don't get me wrong. I'm very much still going through it. But I felt that these were significant to me because of my lack of belief in love and in trust. And for whatever reason, either my mind was coming up with this, or I could only assume that it was a past life. So I started getting better, and it was a couple months that I did start to have a bad panic attack again. And it was really bad this time. It was so bad. So I did more trance work. I went into myself and my space, and this time what came to me was really significant. I went into a trance, and I saw myself as a little girl with brown hair. It was down to here almost, like something like that. And it was curly and thick, and I saw a brick house and a carriage in the front with a black horse. And I had a white dress on with like white pantyhose and black shoes that were kind of like button over, very Victorian style. But I had like ruffles on my shirt, or like, it was like a dress, but it was like, I don't know. I had long white sleeves, and I was in my room, and I was playing with my dolls. I had a porcelain doll that I was playing with. I remember that. And when I was playing, I must have been playing loudly. I was probably like 9 years old, so you know how kids can be. My father, what I assume was my father, came in and he smacked me so hard on my face. But what was interesting is that as I was in the perspective of this little girl, I was playing with the dolls. I could see it through my own body. But as soon as he smacked me, I was outside of my body again. And I was witnessing myself crying from a third eye point of view. My dad was wearing all black, with like a bow tie thing that kind of crossed like this. And he had a mustache and a comb over kind of hair. I knew his name was John West or Westman or something like that. And my name was, people called me Liza or Liza, but I knew my name was actually Elizabeth West. And the year that this was happening, as I was 9 or 10 years old, was in 1842. So anyway, after I had came out of my body and was seeing myself crying, I immediately went right back into my body as Elizabeth. And I burst out of my room and I went to my right, and then to my left, there was like a door that was a wooden door that had like a weird lock on it, and I unlocked the door, and I ran up the stairs, and I remember the stairs were wooden, and when my shoes really made a lot of noise when I ran up the stairs, because I was in a very emotional state because my father had hit me. I ran over to a woman who was sitting on the bed. She was a Black woman, maybe in her 20s, and she had a white bonnet on and a long dress, and she held me, and I felt like she loved me. I felt her love, just like I had felt the love of my husband when I was a Native woman. And that was so powerful to me. It was her love and the love of my husband and the love that I had for my little boy when I was that man in the Mediterranean. And I came out of all of this, and I realized that it's not the violence that happens to us, but it's the love that we give to each other that has more power and significance. In all of our lives. So with this profound wisdom, that's part of why I'm doing this video, is because I want to allow people to understand that too, that no matter what happens, no matter if someone does any kind of act of violence against you, hold on to the love, and those moments are more powerful than any kind of hatred. And that was when I realized that I needed to do better and be that love for other people. Because even when I was in my darkest places, and I was in a dark place, and I felt so alone,